Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther and today I'm giving you an update on how my garden back at the house is doing. And let's start off with raspberries. Look, I'm sitting on my bench in the garden and looking at these gorgeous raspberries that are just ripe for picking. I've got my long gloves with me. Gently. These gloves are way too big on me. So I'm trying to, like the giant, trying to pull it off. So the trick with raspberries is if they come off easily at pulling them, then they're done. If you have to really fight them, they're not quite ripe yet. Let's see. That one doesn't want to come off. How about you guys over here? That one looks plenty ripe. Yeah, that came off right in my hand. All right, so there we go. My neighbor has started mowing, but still, that's gorgeous. Oh, nice bowl of raspberries and still so many more to go. Oh my God, I love raspberries so much. This is so delicious. In the backyard, my service berry tree that I got, it's native to the area. Some of the berries are definitely ripening. I read they have to be dark purple, but you can see the resident groundhog, who I haven't seen in a while, but he came and ate the leaves and some of the berries off of the service berry. So it's looking a lot more spindly than it was before. But at the same time, I did get this technically for nature. So, yeah, I guess I'm not upset. Hopefully the plant seems to be surviving and doing fine, so that's good. Here's how my big backyard native bed, plant bed is going. We have Solomon seal that I used some duct tape to hold it up because the dogs accidentally broke the stem. And I'm trying to keep it alive at least through the rest of the year. As for this bed, which I need to weed desperately, but my anise hyssop, which is native to the area, downy wood mint, this is goldenrod in the middle, and what are you in the back? Let's see if we can remember. Oh, there's a cardinal flower. So here's an overview of what my front garden bed looks like, and I'll show you more in a minute. My garlic scapes. So I have hardneck garlic. This would be the flower on the garlic eventually. And by clipping off the scape, you're actually allowing the garlic to put energy towards building a bigger bulb. So I come out every day or every couple days and harvest more garlic scapes. And I can saute them up. They're actually quite tender. You can cut it up to probably about up to there. When it starts turning white basically, and use all of this part. I use them in sautés, I use them in salads. It has a garlic flavor, but it's not as strong as a garlic head. Here I have a little mini rose bush that I got in memory of my grandma. I plan on getting something bigger next year, but I wanted to get something in the meantime. Here we have, look at all these baby seedlings. These are all baby coxcomb, celosia. Remember that big celosia bush I had here that was taking up this whole area last year? Well, it dropped a lot of babies. So I'm gonna dig most of them up, but I'm probably also gonna give some away to people. We also have a volunteer spider flower. I'll put the other name for them in here. There's a couple of them. I'm gonna only allow one to grow, but we have a lot of seeds here. So even annuals will come back on their own. The dill is coming on nicely, and I have calendula here as well as in the front of the garden. And we have our first, now it's not quite as pretty as I'd hoped, but we have our first black-eyed Susan. So these are flowers that I winter sowed and transplanted up last year. And so this is the second year, and they're perennial, and they're native to this area. They're native to Maryland Zone 7A. So I'm so thrilled. Over here, my yarrow is blooming, and I'll show you some better blooms further over. Yarrow is used for medicinal purposes, but it's also native to my area, the white yarrow in particular. In this bed, I have planted up a couple tomatoes. So I have a barred board tomato or something a friend gave to me that I planted here, and then I have an Art Colors cherry tomato. I have a couple peppers. I think that's a jalapeno and that's a Jimmy Nardello. Even though I have peppers in my community garden, I don't know how they're going to perform in relation to the soil. So I wanted to have some plants here at least that I could get some fruit from, right? And then over here are beets. And the other day I saw, here's some beetroot forming, woohoo! Oh, that's so exciting. So hopefully within 3 or so weeks, I'll be harvesting, maybe less, I'll be harvesting beets. Now the beets in my community garden didn't do so well, so I'm really excited that I planted here. And that's another reason I've been planting a little bit of one crop in my garden that I know will do well as taking a chance in the community garden, because I still want some beets. And I'm glad I did crops in both beds here and at the community rental garden. Over here is the one of the 4 plants I brought in over winter that have survived. I brought in an eggplant and 3 pepper plants, and I overwintered them, and this one made it. I had problems with spider mites. I had all kinds of problems, and don't you know, the one that survived was a bell pepper one, and look, we have a baby bell pepper. So overwintering is great because you get peppers so much earlier. So I'm gonna try overwintering again next year, but for now, I am thrilled that this one survived. And it's starting to put out leaves on the stem that I thought about cutting, but I thought, well, maybe on the nodes it'll grow something, and it's starting to. So hopefully we'll have a nice full pepper plant, and soon I'll be having a bell pepper. Ah! Here is my container flower garden, which is somewhat underway. I still have some stuff I want to do with it, including transplanting some things over. But the sage has come back. Sage is perennial in Maryland Zone 7A. Look at this variegated sage. Isn't that stunning? Oh. And it tastes the same. It tastes the same. I've been harvesting lavender. I have some hanging up inside that I'm going to use for all kinds of things. They're small lavender. I don't know which variety this is, but that's perennial as well. Now this year I've been trying to do more container-friendly plants, and I have mixed results on that. Over here, these are container sunflowers, and look how gorgeous they are. These are filling out. Having alyssum in the front kind of fills out for the sunflowers. So that's a lesson learned, is to have something nice and bushy in the very front and then something up higher up. Here I have what will be teddy bear sunflowers, and I have some Dusty Miller growing along the bottom. I should have probably put something more bushy in, and I may still fill in. I have some ageratum or ageratum. I butchered the name of that plant, but I have some I can plant there potentially. My foxglove is kind of nearing the end of its season. No, not quite, but I mean, look. This is the second year. This was winter sown last year, and they take 2 years to bloom. There we go. You can get a sense of them there. And I don't know if this is a variety that will continue to bloom past this year or not. If it does, I'll be very excited. Over here, these are echinacea or coneflowers that look like they're about ready to start setting flowers. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? Even if it doesn't bloom, that head is stunning. I cannot wait until these flowers have all bloomed. Yes, it's going to be gorgeous. Gorgeous! And along this edge, when I had the beets here, or when I was growing radishes, I transplanted some winter sown. Now which ends up, which ends down? Okay. I transplanted some winter sown Walla Walla onions. Now those are a long crop. I think they require 110 days, so I may have to cover them come the late fall and winter. But it'd be really neat to get some Walla Walla onions. And I definitely planted them too close to the edge. But you know, it's all one giant experiment. My Sweet William, which is a volunteer from last year, came back from last year, as did the purple salvia. Apricot cosmos growing here, and it looks like we might get a flower soon. This doesn't seem to be draining very well, so I need to figure out, I need to maybe lift it up and put it on a block or something to help it drain. We also have a toothache plant in there. Over here we have more Sweet William. That's for next year. Some Dusty Miller. This is going to be a Love Lies Bleeding plant. So this is that big, tall plant that has sort of dreadlock looking amaranth flowers hanging down. And then I have more zinnias here in the back. And look at this. My coral fountain nymph. Oh, she really is lovely. Funny fact, that plant was stuck in a plastic milk jug container until just a couple days ago. And I transplanted it and the flowers bloomed. Oh, it was great. So here I have container zinnias, and they're quite small, but they are cute. So I think if I grow these next year, I'm going to grow them in a smaller container where they kind of look more filled out. I believe this is a agastache here. And then I planted some baby variegated coxcomb that should get big, as well as a red spike amaranth. So we should have an interesting look here once all those flowers fully develop. This is an interesting site. So I love coxcomb, and I planted my coral brain kind of looking and variegated dwarf coxcomb in this. I also planted some salvia here on the edges, but there was what I thought was a weed, and I thought, well, it looks familiar. Let it grow up and see what it becomes. And lo and behold, it is an Indian blanket flower volunteer from last year. If you recall, these things bush out massively. So what I'm thinking of doing when I have time is transplanting this maybe into another container, maybe the one with the foxglove. Last year, I started by a winter sowing these native plants. These are called, oh, look, a dangling spider. Hi, Mr. Spider. Okay, I'll leave you alone. Go back up. Go back up. All right. This is sea oats or wood oats, Indian wood oats. And they produce these beautiful, they're tiny now, but they produce these beautiful oat-like seeds. Now these are native to Maryland Zone 7A. They can definitely be aggressive spreaders. And one of the reasons I planted them here is because I have some thick, that came with the house, some thick garden cloth under this that basically makes it hard for anything to spread massively. And you can see they've kind of kept to their lane at this point. I'm banking on that and the fact that they are in part shade to help keep them under control, but they really are beautiful. And they are host to several native species, I think, of moths and other things that can help the ecosystem. So I'm really excited about that. Over here, my chamomile plants. We have our first chamomile blossom. Okay, so this is Roman chamomile, and this is a flower. This is something I winter sowed last year. I grew these plants in mass. I grew them, so many of them, you could see. And my goal is to have a whole thing underneath this maple tree, Japanese maple, to have a whole bed of Roman chamomile that kind of looks carpet-like, which it's starting to do. Last year it was really patchy, but it's an overwintering, it's a perennial here. And oh, sweet little flower, look at you, yay! Roman chamomile is working. Oh, that's exciting. I'm glad you could be here to see that. In this bed, we have more yarrow, and you can see it's flowering now. Look at those pretty little white flowers. I've planted some, oh, what is this called? I have it covered, of course. Oh, yes. I planted some goldenrod here, some native red columbine that'll come back for next year. And then this is purple. It's a mist flower. It's a purple flower that's native to this area. Or else this is, let's see. No, this is mist flower, not anise. Okay, not anise hyssop. I get confused about which things I've planted where. And in this bed, I have an assortment of basils. So I have a Persian basil. I have, oh gosh, I can't remember them all. I have a regular Italian basil. And did I put labels in at all? I don't think I did. I think one is called a crimson basil. Over here I have chocolate mint and peppermint. If you recall, last year this area was full of weeds. There's like a sidewalk with gaps, like a paved area, or not paved, like stone area here that just has gaps in it and had weeds. So I put cardboard down and mulch on top to make it look homogeneous. That way I could put flowers out front. So these are my calendula flowers, which I use for medicinal purposes, but aren't they stunning? And look at these gorgeous sweet peas. And then this calendula flower is just stunning. I am 100% gonna let this go to seed, and I'm gonna save the seeds from this, because this is a flower I want to have in the future. Look how big it is compared to my hand. I mean, it's massive. It's crazy. I'm so excited. I love calendula flowers. They're the first real flowers in the spring and early summer, and also they have medicinal value. So what more could you hope for? Also, my thornless blackberries, I moved them to the front of my garden. I had them in the driveway before, and they just weren't getting enough sun. And out here, they're thriving. They were kind of wimpy, but now they're sort of vining up, and they've got flowers, and oh man, I'm looking forward to some blackberries soon. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and otherwise, I'll see you next time. Happy gardening.